Kia ora, John and Heemi. I am so excited to have you here today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Kia ora.
And I'm really looking forward to this chat because we're going to be talking about Māori health as well as male mental health and having some really important conversations. So thank you for coming along. Can I ask you, because coming on and talking about mental health is something very vulnerable. It can be a challenge for a lot of people to speak openly. When I messaged you and I said, hey boys, I'd love to chat to you, why did you say yes to coming on this podcast?
This topic of mental health and the topic of, emotional discourse, it's quite important to us. But the main thing we want to do is try and get it to where people are able to hear it. So we have our platform and we have the people that know us and follow us. And then I think if we connect with people who have different followers than ours, then that just spreads the same message to a bit more of a wider audience.
Completely. I think collaboration is key, isn't it? And it's so important because I think at the end of the day, we're all working towards the same thing. Heemi, any comments on that?
Yeah, kind of running off what you've already shared in terms of the collaborative approach in this very big space and a very big job. So understanding that it's not just Soften Up, bro. It's not just Voices of Hope that are carrying this responsibility, but it's all of us sharing that, sharing in the work that's done to ensure that we, are getting positive outcomes for the people we're trying to help. So this is largely why we were drawn to this podcast, because again, it's another action that hopefully contributes to that bigger dream and to that big aspiration. So yeah, it's a privilege and thank you for having us.
Yeah.
Well, it's a privilege to be sitting with you guys today and hopefully making people more aware of the awesome work you guys do through Soften Up, Bro.
Cool.
Can we talk about childhood? What was life like growing up for the both of you?
Yeah, so I guess my childhood, so raised mostly within Whangarei, so in the north. I have a family of 6, so mum, dad, 2 triplet brothers, and then a little sister. During our time, the area we kind of grew up was a little bit rough, but fortunately through the hard work of my parents, we were afforded a lot of opportunities through education and then further on and later into our lives, which has kind of led us to the privileges we have now. But often we reflect on those times, and visiting home also, we're also reminded of it, of the situation of our whānau around us in terms of state housing, in terms of some of the socioeconomic status that our whānau are living in. And it's a sad reminder, but it's a joyful reminder just to say hey, keep it pushing, which is often what John and I just try to do with our mahi. We just think about what it was like growing up, being a male Māori, and thinking, okay, so how can we change the narrative, or how can we change the rhetoric to make it more positive, make it more bountiful for us all. So yeah, that's kind of my background.
Grew up in Whangarei for the majority of my childhood, and that's where I met Heemi and his brothers. And yeah, as he alluded to before, that we grew up in an area that was pretty tough, but I think growing in that place, you not only become comfortable in those spaces, but you can also see the need of, I guess, needs for improvement in that space, and how can us as young Māori men now coming into our own adulthood, coming into the professionalism of, I guess, this world that we're in, how can we pay it back to the community that raised us? So I grew up with 3 older sisters and my mum. So I pretty much just had 4 mums growing up, which is, it's my blessing.
4 people telling you what to do.
Yeah, constantly, all the time. But no, it was cool. Heemi knows my sisters, and yeah, he'll say that they're my mums as well.
Yeah.
But no, very, very lucky to have the family I did with my sisters and my mum, and also Heemi and his brothers and his parents as well. Got very, very close.
How did you go from meeting to being friends to creating such an incredible movement or initiative? What would you call Soften Up, Bro?
I think one interesting interpretation I've heard of Soften Up, Bro, is social intervention, and that came from a clinical psych lecturer at university. So I was talking to him about the kaupapa, and he goes, so is it social intervention? And I was like, wow, well, I've never framed it that way. I've always just thought it's a movement, mental health movement.
It's a kaupapa.
Supporting this space, and this very big space that's just occupied by a lot of people as well, which is a good thing. But yeah, so social intervention, I think, sums it up pretty well in the sense that it's changing that social narrative, the social norms, things that are assumed and things that are practiced quite widely across our Māori population, Māori male population. So that's what I found in terms of one way of framing it.